All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. All boxing, everything. Make sure y'all subscribe. Wow, man, dude, I forgot about this fight last night, but I was flipping through ESPN Plus. I think it was an afternoon. It was like an afternoon, and I saw it live, and I was like, oh snap, this is already on. So I decided to go ahead and pull it up and check the fight out because I'm usually sitting around waiting for some UFC cards. And sometimes they start in the afternoon, but when I was flipping through ESPN Plus, I saw this was on, so I said, oh snap, I forgot about this fight. I forgot Joyce was taking on Joseph Parker this weekend, man. But I'm glad I tuned in, man, because this was a brutal fight. This was an action-packed heavyweight fight. Shout out to Joyce. I mean, this guy right here, he is relentless. He keeps coming. He throws a lot of leather for a fighter that's 37 years old. This guy, he has a lot in the tank. I mean, for one, Joseph Parker, he doesn't hit that hard. But, I've known Joseph Parker to be able to be a little bit slicker in fights and, hold his own. But in this one here, man, I mean, Joyce, he was just relentless on Joseph Parker in this fight. And he was able to be the first to score a knockout win over Joseph Parker. I mean, going back and looking at the first half of the fight, Joseph Parker, I ain't gonna lie, he was kind of holding his own. He was stepping back a little bit, measuring range and popping off some good jabs and right hands. But a lot of the shots he was landing, he just could not get the respect from Joyce. Joyce, he's just continued to storm forward. But at the same time, it's calculated. He's measuring range. He's not taking full-on impact of shots. And he's coming back with some big right hands over the top on Joseph Parker. He continues to pump through with that jab and really start to bust up Joseph Parker in like the second, third round. Joseph Parker's already bleeding from the nose because he's taking these square jabs and straight right hands right up the middle. And Joseph Parker in this fight, he really looks sluggish. I mean, for the guy that's younger by 6-7 years, I think he's 30 years old, he was really looking like lethargic in there. And I mean, Joyce, he was just having his way with him with those combinations. Right hands around the guard, left hooks around the side. Joseph Parker continued to try to show heart and pump out shots throughout these mid rounds. He's landing some good punches, on Joyce that probably would have knocked a lot of guys out. But Joyce, look at his expression. I mean, like when Joyce was eating these overhand rights where Joseph Parker was just swinging for the fences, he just kept coming. He just kept coming with these shots. Like every time he would eat them, he would just keep coming with even harder leather of his own. So, I know that can kind of be discouraging for a guy, like that's another way guys get broken in boxing, like their will can be broken. Whenever you see a man walk through your shots, you're not even tearing his flesh. Like Joyce is not even cut. He's not even getting rocked. He's not even blinking at the impact of these shots landing on his chin. That can break a guy's will too. So I think there came a point where Joseph Parker thought he could have outboxed him just like laying back, kind of like he was James Toney or something, just kind of laying back, popping these shots off and maybe catching with like an overhand right as he stepped in. But he just continued to storm through the right hand. So eventually, he probably started taking the impact off his shots. He just started eating a lot of punches, and that's what was happening. Joseph Parker just laying back, getting beat down until those later rounds came. Ooh, man, he just started taking some hard shots. And as he stepped back at the opening of the, was it the 11th round? Yeah, the 11th round. He ate a big left hook, and he was knocked out cold just landed in the corner. I was like, wow, man, like Joyce, this guy's relentless. Just a lot of, big punches Joseph Parker was absorbing in this fight. He was just sitting there to take a lot of punishment, and it was wearing on him. Now, honestly, I think the fight could have been stopped maybe like in round 7 or 8, because there was a couple times when he did get rocked and he just looked out of it, even going back to his corner. Like you could see his eyes in the corner when they were wiping the blood from his nose. I was like, they might want to stop this. They might want to stop this about 3 rounds earlier, but they continue to let it go on. And that big shot, that left hook had his name on it, dropped him and put him out. So yeah, man, good performance, good entertaining knockout from Joyce. Now that's the good side. I'm just talking about the fight as a whole. From what I seen from Joyce, how relentless he was. I thought the commentary was a little biased sometimes too, but because Joseph Parker was catching him with shots in there. Joseph Parker was catching him early on with some shots, and that's what I want to talk about. Joyce, he is relentless, but you can see a lot of his punches coming. For one, Joseph Parker was stationary, so a lot of the shots that Joyce was landing, you could see a mile away, if you got the reflex, you could time him and come over the top, which Joseph Parker was doing, but he needed to use some footwork to get out of the way from the offense coming back at him, you know. But Joe Joyce, you do see a lot of his shots coming, and he does take a lot of hits. Like Joseph Parker, he just doesn't have a lot of pop on his shots. You know, he just doesn't have a lot of pop, and Joe Joyce could walk through a lot of these shots. But moving forward, as the competition gets stiffer and the punches get stiffer, you know, I want to see Joe Joyce start to tighten up on that defense, you know, keep them hands up. I mean, he was doing a good job of stepping out of range, you know, measuring distance, but he was still getting hit with clean punches. And, you know, you can't do that against, like, even guys like Robert Helenius. Let's say if he steps it up and fights Robert Helenius, you know, Robert Helenius, he's a stiff puncher, you know. It might work against, like, an Adam Kalnacki, because Adam Kalnacki doesn't hit hard, or, you know, like Dominique Brazils and some of those guys, or even like, what's his name? Is it Frankie Sanchez or Frankie Martinez? I forget his name, the undefeated Cuban fighter. Let me know in the comment section. But you can't walk through big shots like Helenius or even like Wilder. You know what I mean? Like him, if him and Wilder had to fight, like, yeah, like he's gonna have to be a little bit tighter with it. Now he does have a gas tank and he can lay on you, but even at 37, you know, it's only a matter of time before it catches up with him too. But I like what he's doing now. You know, he's an entertaining fighter. You know, he's just entertaining on that level. But he's going to have to tighten up on some more things before he can just go in there and be, you know, like the next big threat to any of the champions like Fury or even Usyk. So I want to see him go in there and get scrappy with a guy like Otto Wallin next. That's a good fight, Otto Wallin, or like I said, or if Helenius loses to Wilder, I'd like to see him take on a common opponent like that. As for Joseph Parker, man, like for a guy that's 30 years old, he's looked almost like the most shot out of like these 30-somethings. You know what I mean? I'd be like Fury, Joshua, all of these guys. You know what I mean? So I think it's just on him now to decide what he wants to do. But from what I've seen from that performance, taking that much punishment from a guy like Joe Joyce, might want to consider hanging it up now, you know, because heavyweight's a division you really don't want to stay around in too long. Especially when you want to take big shots like this. I'm just saying. But let me know, guys, what y'all thought of the fight. What's next for Joe Joyce? Combo Breaker 99, all boxing, everything. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.